citizens. Today I shall elaborate on the heroic deeds of my colleagues and the scandalous efforts of my enemies. And welcome to my super base. While I tell these stories, some young child that I do not know will draw some silly drawings to it. Curiously, all of these villains do represent mobs from a certain game called something with mine and something with craft. I'm not sure you know it. But anyways, let the tellings begin. Actually begin.
Ever since he was a child, Dylan had dreamed of being a superhero. But this was normal for children his age, as he lived in the metropolis city of Craftaton, a bustling place known for its abundance of heroes and villains. But unlike his fellow children, Dylan actually had a decent chance at becoming a superhero, because he had been born with powers. When Dylan was at the age of 10, it started to become clear that he was different. One day, he woke up and noticed long stripes of hard skin on his forearms, legs, and back. And as the weeks went by, the stripes started growing and bulging, until one day during class, the bulges exploded and multiple armadillo scoots grew out. Now equipped with his new powers, Dylan went around his school and neighborhood, stopping bullies and saving cats. This was until the Hero Organization came to visit. The Hero Organization had been investigating Dylan's powers after his parents informed them about these powers, and they wanted Dylan to come to their HQ so that he could train his powers. This training would go on for 8 years until now. Dylan has trained enough to become one of the new Craftaton heroes in a new line of heroes to protect the city. Shh! Dylan, do you copy? Yeah, I hear you loud and clear. Dylan answered his comm. Dylan, we have a crisis on Dyert Street. The hero Warp was fighting a villain when all of a sudden he began attacking civilians in a fit of rage. You are the closest hero to Warp's location, so you must stop him from hurting other civilians immediately. Copy that, man. On my way, Dylan answered. Dylan then ejected his scoots and bolted off to Dyert Street. As he turned the last corner to Dyert Street, a cube of brick smashed into the wall beside him. When Dylan looked up towards the source, he saw the hero Warp, freaking out. Warp looked at Dylan, screamed, and threw 2 perfect cubes of bricks toward him. Dylan ducked under the first and did a flip over the other. Then he looked at Warp and said, Hey, dude, chill out. We're heroes, remember? We save people, not hurt them. But Warp just screamed and kept throwing cubes. Then you leave me no choice, Dylan said. You're now face to face with the Armadillo. He then raised his arms, and when the cubes collided with them, they shattered into pieces. Dylan pressed forward, blocking the cubes as they came, until he reached Warp. Dylan prepared to strike, but as he swung his forearm, Warp teleported out of the way, and Dylan's arm broke a part of the wall. Huh, should have known it would be more tough to beat you. You're one of the oldest in the business. The two of them continued fighting, but neither of them were able to land a single hit on one another. This was until one of Work's cubes broke a fire hydrant. It started spraying water everywhere. Warp screamed and teleported away from the water. Huh, so you have aquaphobia, Dylan said. Now I just need you over here. But how? You'll just keep running away if I get close. Maybe I can be of assistance, a voice replied. Dylan looked up to see a figure sliding down the side of a building. The figure landed beside Dylan. Good work holding him away from the civilians, kid. The reason he's attacking people in the first place is that he has a mental disorder that sets him into a rage if anyone sees his face. This was also caused by a ton of bullying, the hero said. Okay, but how do you propose we get him close to the fire hydrant? Dylan asked. You just keep blocking his attacks, and when you're close, I come from behind and tackle him towards the water, the hero replied. Okay, got it, Dylan answered. Dylan charged towards Warp, while blocking the countless cubes thrown at him. The gap between them closed, and Dylan made it look like he was about to punch, so that Warp would try to teleport away. Then, the other hero came from behind and tackled Warp with incredible force. The two of them went flying towards the water. Warp had become disoriented and unable to teleport in time to avoid the water. Warp was sent into the spray of water and screamed in fear. This gave the other hero a chance to knock Warp out. And with one well-placed punch, Warp was knocked out. Yeah, great teamwork, man, Dylan said. You're not too shabby, kid. You can call me K9, K9 said, reaching out his arm. Armadillo, Dylan replied, and shook his hand. K9 looked back at Warp. Huh, so his mouthguard was broken, K9 said. Wait, these look like bullet scars. Dylan looked up in shock as the sound of a motor bellowed out. Get behind me, kid! K9 shouted as a motorcyclist with a gun turned the corner. The biker then, with extreme precision, opened fire towards the two of them. K9 bolted towards the biker, but was unable to avoid the bullets as they hit and made big indents in his supersuit. Dylan realized who this villain was. This was Skullshot, one of the most dangerous villains in the city. Dylan froze. He couldn't fight Skullshot. There was no way. Skullshot was out of his league. Just way above. K9 and Skullshot continued fighting until Skullshot noticed Dylan standing frozen. He then turned his bite towards Dylan and fired a rain of bullets towards him. Dylan saw in shock as the bullets came flying. But then, in the last moment, K9 jumped in front of Dylan, and the bullets pierced his suit and skin. You're strong, kid. Don't forget it, he said. Dylan saw as K9 fell to the ground. Now it's just you and me, kid, Skullshot said, as he shot the last bullet towards K9's head. Dylan pulled himself together and deflected the bullet back towards the wheels. The wheel punctured, and the surprised Skullshot went flying towards Dylan's punch. Dylan hit with such a force that Skullshot was knocked out. Seconds later, the Hero Organization's medical department arrived.
So, that was a tale of the heroic deeds of my colleagues. If you like this tale, please like the video, subscribe to this channel, and ring the bell so that you can hear more tales of the heroes of Craftaton. I am one of them myself, although nobody remembers me. No one ever remembers me. Oh, sorry. The stars.